Alrighty, folks, Patrick Powers here, and today I'm really super excited. I was excited before this call, and now that I'm getting to know our guest a little bit more, I'm like, holy moly, this is insane. So here we're with Dr. Roy Martina, and Dr. Martina has joined our team recently, and I want to have his perspective why he thinks Vidify and the breakthrough, the biomass breakthrough, is so major. But I just want to tell a little bit about this guy so you can get really how amazing he is. First of all, he kind of got his base started out in life in martial arts. He started in martial arts at six years of age, and he's won 200 championships. Okay, now he has become a medical doctor. He's one of the leading health experts in the world. He's published 88 books. He's written far more, but they're not published yet. But 88 books have been published. He's created over 800 health remedies based on herbs and homeopathy, and he's trained over 200,000 health practitioners in the world. How about that? That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Roy. How are you today?
It's an honor to be here. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm in a Ayurvedic center in India and just recharging, rebuilding. So yeah, preparing for the rest of the ride, so of the year. So I'm doing good. I'm really happy to be here.
Amazing. So tell us why you joined us, what it was that you saw, and what your experience has been so far with Vidify.
Well, it was, I was approached by a friend of mine, Winston, and Winston said, you have to look at this product. And I started looking at the product, at the brochure, did some research. And then I realized that this was the product I've been waiting for all my life, in the sense that I knew about curcuma. I knew also that in the countries where they have a high intake of curcuma, that they have a lower percentage of, first of all, of stroke, of dementia, which is now rampant all over the world, and also heart disease. So I was really, really, I would say, flabbergasted by the research, by what this product could do. And then when you look at the existing research that we have on curcuma, that's not even with this product. This is with the normal curcuma, and that's already mind-blowing. One of the most research, I would say, spices and food supplement in the galaxy, probably. And they did the research with normal stuff. Imagine if they would do research with this, which is a complete new breakthrough. And immediately I started doing some testing with I have over 40 years experience in holistic medicine, but also in specific ways of testing, specific electrodermal testing, but also muscle testing and all of that. And what I've noticed is that after intake, that the speed of which the curcuma is in where it needs to be. So for example, I tested a person with a knee degeneration, some arthritic knee, they had arthrosis. And then you could test before and after. It's not that the knee immediately changed, but within a minute or so, there was something different happening in the knee, that there was something going on there. So I decided to use the product myself. I have my whole family on it. And I also had knee problems based on falling down once from 6 feet high, doing something on a high ridge in our house in America at the time. And another time falling from a horse. So my right knee was totally bad. So when I started taking this, I immediately noticed a shift. So the sweat, it was not swollen, but the feeling of stiffness immediately started to shift, which for me was amazing. And
how quickly
for me, it was
like,
oh, that was like in 2-3 days. It was already starts, and it went on and on and on. And now practically it is back almost to 100%. So
wow,
that was my own experience. And then
I assume it's not for lack of trying other stuff, that you probably tried a lot of other stuff, probably other curcumin products, right?
Right. No, I have a whole bunch of toolboxes I work with. And so this was a really neat I would say, add on to my toolbox. And what was also not researched yet. So there is what is called the blood-brain barrier, which means that the brains are protected by special membranes. So things that are in the blood cannot just go into the brain. So the brain has special protection. The only way actually to have fast access to the brain is through the nose, through what's called the olfactory nerve. For example, that's how aromatherapy works, that it immediately goes through the nose into the nerve and then goes to the limbic system. But this also has direct access to the brain, which I believe is the primary prevention for dementia, Alzheimer's, and much more problems in the brain. It needs to be tested yet, but I can say, based on the research that I've done so far, that it would surprise me if you cannot prevent dementia and other brain conditions. It would surprise me. I'm sure 100% it will. And so those are the personal experience. We're still ongoing testing. I have now some diabetes people, diabetes 2 that we're testing on, and some people with pain. So I put it out with different people and they're testing. And a couple of them already are reporting within 1 or 2 weeks that they're noticing a shift and change. So I see this product as, on one side, for healthy people. A lot of health conscious people already are taking some curcuma products or antioxidants or vitamin C, vitamin E, those kind of things, that those people save a lot of money replacing the antioxidants with the curcuma plus that we have. So it will actually, some people will save money because a lot of the stuff you don't need to do. So that's preventive. And of course, we have it. We cannot officially say we can cure this or we can cure that, but we do have a way to support the healing mechanism of the body. And what people need to understand, that traditional medicine is much more based on treating the symptom, treating the problem, than treating the cause of the problem. And we all know, or we should know, that the inflammatory response of the body in, let's say, the way our lifestyle is, with a lot of carbs and sugars and all those kind of stuff, that curcuma can play a role in that. I could even say that if people would not change their lifestyle, but would add this to their diet, that they would prevent and block a lot of the normal dietary effects that we have. Because what a lot of people do not understand is the following. The biggest problem to humankind right now has to do with the carbs that we are ingesting. And when we ingest more carbs than we can handle, we get that the pancreas has to work harder. And when the pancreas starts to work harder, the chances are that we develop what's called insulin resistance. And it's the insulin resistance that's the problem. So a lot of people know about diabetes. One of the, I would say, one of the problems that keep growing. But before diabetes, we have a gray zone where we are a little bit pre-diabetic, even if the blood sugar doesn't show it yet. So if our insulin resistance is not, if that's up, a lot of people put on weight. And when you put on weight, it also leads to more problems. So we were in a kind of a vicious circle that it's tough to get out. And when you look at one of the biggest, I would say, killer of humankind right now is heart disease. And heart disease comes from the development of plaques. And the development of plaques is, again, because of insulin resistance, because the glucose is not absorbed very well. It irritates the inside of the arteries. And that's where now the body tries to protect those injuries with plaques, with the calcium that it builds again. And so the calcification of the arteries is a protection mechanism. It is not a disease. It is the disease. The problem is the insulin resistance and the glucose circulating in the body. So having something anti-inflammatory that will protect also the heart, not only the heart, but the whole circulation system. and also then will prevent like things like stroke and you know all the other stuff related to that. And if you look at diabetes, in diabetes, one of the biggest problems we get is the circulatory problems, because the glucose is not controlled very well. People all get circulatory problems. They can even get blindness, heart problems, all because of the glucose. The glucose becomes an irritant to the blood vessels, but also to the joints. And that's where the inflammation comes from. And so you can say that the inflammatory response that we're talking about is caused by a big part by the amount of carbs that we're ingesting. And having something like what we have now, you can almost say, I'm not going to promote it, but you can almost say you can have your cake and eat it too. Like we say this.
Yeah.
If I'm going to eat cake, I'm going to put some drops with it.
That's great. And by the way, interesting, like I think it's just 3 days ago, I started actually really eating gluten again, because I've been gluten intolerant for like 12 years. So I actually had a cake, like a real whole cake for the first time in many, many years. And this is after starting taking these drops. So I can relate that. Sometimes we want to have our cake. Right.
Absolutely. And to my, what you're saying, the gluten intolerance has been rampant also all over the world.
Yeah.
And that's also has to do with the way that we cultivate the plants and all of that. So if you look at the grains are not anymore what they used to be. So they're, some of them even genetically manipulated. So that's also a big thing. So the gluten becomes an irritant. And because of that, I can see it also can cause all kinds of irritations and inflammatory effects. And that's where the curcuma plus comes in. And it's a protection against the things that we normally do in with our Western way of living and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's not only when you're sick. I would recommend this to everyone to use this exactly when you're not sick yet. Because even here's the biggest problem that I've been telling my workshops over and over and over, and I've been teaching my health professionals to not focus on only people who are sick, but to also focus more on getting people in to want to prevent to get sick or want to slow down aging. And so we've developed all kinds of ways to measure things. So for one of the most important things is what's called biological age. So for example, this year, I'm going to turn 70. That's my chronological age. But my biological age is maybe under 50. So that means that my body is aging slower than others. And I have brothers and even sisters that, are not doing what I'm doing. So they are, I always call them, you guys are the proof that the shit I'm doing works, because you guys are getting older. I'm getting younger. So and now they start, finally they start following. So I sent curcuma to all of them. I said, no matter, take this stuff, because this stuff can also slow down aging. So that's the key that we're going to be able to measure in the near future. So when we have the markers for biological age, and we would start doing testing on that, we can see a reversal in biological age. And that's very rare for one product to do. Normally you need a cocktail of different products to get that effect. So one of the things, because this has been my specialty for 40 years, one of the things I've been really one of the first docs to ever in the world to start with is to create what we call detox medicine remedies based on herbs and homeopathy. Now, there are many different people now claiming they can do that, but I started, I think, 25 years ago. We've done a ton of research to show that the remedies I created can take out heavy metals, chemicals, and other pollutants out of the body. But the key factor is the liver. The liver is not by coincidence the biggest organ in the body. The liver has a lot of work to do. It needs to clean up, all the stuff that we're ingesting that is not pure. So the liver is working over time in the Western society, and that's the reason when we are also stressed, and especially irritated, frustrated, and those kind of emotions. Those actually they don't block, but they slow down the liver. And when we look at, I've studied to be an acupuncturist, and in acupuncture they link all the emotions to different organs. So the liver and gallbladder are the organs where anything that frustration, aggression, anger is linked to that. So when we have unresolved issues, let's say, for example, we live in or we are in a relationship where we don't speak our truth, where we don't have the space for ourselves, there's a lot of frustration, the liver is slowed down, and for that reason we accumulate more toxins in the body. So aging, for a big part, I would say over 70%, is based on your ability of detoxing your body. In other words, if you're not detoxing your body enough, you will age faster. So the secret to a long life is a low accumulation of toxins in your body. And that's where the curcuma comes in, because it doesn't have one function. We have here a food supplement that has almost no side effects. I mean, unless you drink maybe a bottle a day, and that's not been researched. I mean, it would be crazy, but I don't see people doing that. But something that has no side effects whatsoever has so many different functions to help us to slow down aging, to rejuvenate, to detoxify, to reverse a lot of the effects of our lifestyle. So it's not only, let's say, a prevention, it's also reversal. And I think that's the missing key. And I'm going to make a series of little videos just to tell these things so people will understand these mechanisms. That is just in one product. Normally you need 12 different products to just do that, what Curcuma Plus can do. You understand what I'm talking about? So, so for me, the biggest block in the beginning was the fact that it was in a networking, multi-level marketing system, because that normally doesn't fit well with my brand, because the way people think is, if you're going to promote a product and you have, I call it secondary gain, which we all do with most of the things we promote, except for a movie or, the next iPhone, is that people are only focused on the fact that you're making money off them. You see what I'm saying? And that normally doesn't go well with my brand, even though, I make money by teaching people how to stay healthy, how to deal with stress, how to become more successful, how to stop sabotaging themselves, and on and on and on. But there was always this link there with multi-level marketing. And then I said, okay, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it in the right way. We need to set things up in such a way that we educate people, and to look for the entrepreneurs who want to make a difference. And that's what we're focusing on right now. We're looking for entrepreneurs first that want to make a difference, and also want to make money and, create some income. And we're living now in a time where money becomes more and more important, because of things, of course, like inflation and all of that.
And
but
instability,
more
like
and more
new technology. Like I can tell you, like, I am so grateful that I made the decision a year ago to go out of consulting and into Vidify, because you probably heard about Chat GPT, right? This new technology and I'm having lots of people on my Facebook coming out and saying, look, this can make better ads than my advertising agency. And I'm like, holy moly, I was a copywriter. That was what I was doing before I went into Vidify. I'm like, like there's going to be so many copywriters out of work instantly because of this new technology. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
And not only that, it can sometimes deliver things so much faster, number one, cheaper, but also so much more diversity. So it's so much easier to use. And this is just one of the many things that's going to happen.
So we need extra income streams, is what you're seeing, like to be secure in the future.
And absolutely. And you see, there are many different ways, of course. I'm not a financial advisor, but what I can say is number one, is we're living in very fast changing times. We all saw that happening also with the lockdowns and all of that. What's going to happen next? All our securities are no longer safe. You know, my father worked one job most of his life. It doesn't happen anymore. It's very rare for this to happen. So things are changing. A lot of jobs will go out the window. Even just imagine robots going to take over in factories. I mean, robots are going to take over taxi drivers, and it goes on and on and on. So I would say for people, now is the time to start to think, you know, about your future. And what is great about this product and this company is that, number one, they got a product that is already worth just for your own investment. But second, it's a product that the whole world definitely needs right now, based on how we're living in let's say, the Western lifestyle. The world needs products that will help us cope better with our way of living. And I think this is one of the best products I've seen in a long time. And I'm sure when this technology is applied to other, I would say, great supplements, things will be definitely even get better. If we take, for example, vitamin A, which is a fat-soluble vitamin. Vitamin A has one of the same problem as curcuma. It is really hard to absorb and to metabolize by the body. So you can imagine if a vitamin A would come out, I would be, you know, standing on the barricades yelling, because I've seen so many problems with the lack of vitamin A. And one of the things that curcuma has in similar to vitamin A, it's a protection also against cancer. And what most people don't realize is two things: that cancer is not an accident. Number one, the body has over 7 trillion cells. It is a factory that produces cells every day in the billions, okay? Of course, things can go wrong. Of course, there can be cells that are not okay. Normally, our immune system takes care of these cells and I would say destroy them. Everybody makes cancer cells. So that's what most people don't know. They think cancer is something that happens if you have got bad luck. No, that's not the point. The second thing is that for cancer to really get into our system, we need to have some immune defect. And most of the immune defects are coming from emotional unresolved problems, conflicts. So when there's a conflict that you don't resolve, what happens is that your meridians, your energy flow somewhere in the body gets stagnated. And it's just like having a whole building with security cameras and motion detectors, but some areas of the building no longer are on the security scrutiny or motion detectors. That's where cancer then can develop. So having something like curcuma will help the immune system to stay more vigilant. And for that reason, your chance of getting cancer diminished. And in the future, if we have more of these products, it will become not like just 1 + 1 is 2. It is like 1 + 1 is 10. And I truly believe that this will not be the only problem, the only product. More have to come. You cannot keep this technology just for one. It has to continue development. And then we are at I would say, the front of the new kind of medicine. And I believe that, you know, all the health practitioners, because we're going to target them as well, have to prescribe this to their clients. You know, it's just a must. There's no other way. You can remove a lot of different products if you just know the
Yeah.
power of just one
Yeah.
product. So yeah,
I have
you can
another
hear my,
friend who's also a health expert, and
Mhm.
he's had a lot of health problems himself. That's kind of why he became a health expert. He lost,
Mhm.
I think, 200 pounds. He was massively overweight.
Wow.
And so he became an expert on weight loss and supplementation, but he's still
Mhm.
taking a lot of supplements. And he said, like, after 3 days of using his product, I mean, he had such a dramatic result. And he said, I think I'll save between $400 and $600 per month in other supplements just because of this one product.
We say we're talking the same
Yeah.
thing. That's
Yeah.
that's the point I saw immediately.
Yeah.
I have an ex-wife, and she was a little bit hesitant in the beginning, and she's also an acupuncturist and all of that. But now she's really happy with it because she's done the research. She's like me. We do the research first, and to be sure, then we do. And for us, research means also testing. And is where a lot of people make the mistake. They take the product and say nothing happens,
Mm-hmm.
and then they stop. That's not smart thinking, because it is not about something happens. If I take vitamin C, I don't notice anything, but I know vitamin C is good to take. So there's
Yeah.
no discussion that I would say, okay, take some vitamin C and maybe some other vitamins. Then we know antioxidants are good because we know the oxidation process in our body is the main reason for aging and fatigue. So we use antioxidants. With curcuma, it's the number one thing that we can do that has so many effects that can replace 12 different products. So if anyone comes and complains about the price or whatever, I say, hey, wake up. You're replacing a whole box of supplements with one. So stop complaining and start looking at your advantages.
Yeah.
So it is something that I can talk about all day. And
That's amazing.
especially, yeah, especially if we start thinking about the speed of things. Once we do not understand that, yes, we can see in the blood the absorption rate, but what has not been measured yet, because nobody has been thinking about it, is, for example, the speed of which this also comes into what we call the cerebral spinal fluid. That's the brains, what they are in. That's the same. You must imagine the same thing that happens in the blood happens in the brain.
Yeah.
So the moment you start taking these drops, already your brain is already having an advantage of that. The second thing is that I tell people it's important. The two most important times to take this supplement is before you go to sleep and in the morning when you wake up. That's when you have the most advantage of it. You can take it during the day, but it's not really necessary. So you take before you go to sleep. The reason that's important is that when we go to sleep, we are no longer running around, adrenaline is not kicking in, and the body goes in what we call in a resting mode. The brain waves goes down from what we call beta to alpha to theta, and in there is where regeneration happens. So you get the best benefits when you take it before you go to sleep, because now you have the full, I would say, the full night to regenerate. And then in the morning, you take another dose to have enough for the day. So if you want, you can still take it in the middle of the day, but just take it twice a day is enough already to get the full benefits. Unless you have, say, you have a very tough condition. If I would recommend it to a cancer patient, I'm not saying it will cure cancer, but what I do say, it will help the immune system in cancer and improve your chances of self-healing. For them, I would say it's better to take 2 or 3 drops more frequently, because you want to keep the blood percentage as high as possible.
Yeah.
So for them, it would be more like that, or someone who has a very strong chronic arthritis, those kind of things. It's better to take 1 or 2 drops frequently than to take 10 drops, because then you keep the blood levels as high as possible. So those were the conditions that I've been researching as well to check how would that benefit people the most.
Amazing.
And then, of course, I would recommend everybody to get in if they can afford it as an entrepreneur, for several reasons, not only for the money, but also because then you have more, you get a whole box of samples that you can give away, number one, and you can have your friends try it. I give it to all people I care about, and number one, all my friends and stuff like that, and I tell them about it. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm just saying this is the best product I've seen. You know, take it, and if you want more, you know where to find me. And then you know, we sign them up and so on and so on. And then of course we're going to do a lot of webinars, and it's education. And I see two forms of education. One is, I would say, the medical education about what it does, and we're just at the beginning of researching that, because despite the fact that there's been over 20,000 published studies, none of this have been done with this product. Can you imagine? So we're at the beginning of new studies need to be done.
There's been tens of thousands of studies on the effect of curcumin, positive effect of curcumin, but of course not this product. And by the way, some people say, "Oh, are there any studies on this product and asthma or whatever it is?" We can't. If we made the studies, we're not allowed to publish them, because this is not a medical product, right? It's a supplement. We're not allowed to publish that and use it as as a promotion tool.
No, you can't. No, there's a difference between use promotion tool or not. But I'm in the process of creating a new clinic in South America, and that's where we're going to have everything combined. So let's say the blood testing, MRI scan, and all of that. And that's where we can do scientific research, and then you can publish it in medical journals. You see, you need to publish it first in medical, and if it's what's called peers reviewed, and then it's a different thing, right? So it's it's a much longer way.
Okay.
But we'll find a way to do it, and I'm right now in the process of starting with the building this year of a new type of clinic that integrates the holistic side with the regular side, and so it will take a few years, but then we can do these kind of studies and prove that. But I think right now the most common thing is just two things. There is a lot of stuff already published on curcumin itself, and now we're getting the new testimonials with this new product, which is going to be totally different than a normal curcumin product, because there you need more time to build up the momentum. So it is, this one has the advantage that it can go much faster because the absorption is much higher and much faster, and goes into the tissues of the organs much faster than the normal natural
and stays
product.
longer as well.
And I think this is where you can say science helps God in that sense. God created whatever you want to believe, but everything's great. But now science comes in and say, hey, we can enhance something that's already great and make it even better. And that way we can serve humankind in many ways. And the fact that we can make some money with it is just excellent. But for a lot of people, that might be another great benefit to invest their time and money into this.
To get less stress in your life, from the extra income stream that's coming in there. So, hey, Roy, this has been amazing. I mean, I would love to get you on some of our team trainings to explain more to people. So there's like, sometimes people say, yeah, it's just another curcumin product or whatever. It's like, no, yeah, exactly. No. This is
not even close.
way beyond anything you've ever experienced. And I think sometimes it's hard for them to believe that it's just coming from their friend Patrick or the friend whoever, right? But when you have somebody like you with your expertise, like explain it to them, I think they'll understand it way better and appreciate more what it is that we really truly have here, which is a major breakthrough. So I thank you so much, Roy.
It's been my pleasure. And before I go, I just want to say one thing to people is that when I start researching this product, for me, it was a dream come true in the sense that I've never seen anything that comes close. So for me, it was not a matter if I would make money with it or not. I wouldn't care because I have a good life. But the fact that it was something that I've never saw before, that was the main motivation for me to be talking about it, to promoting it, and to work with some friends to help some people also to become financially free. But the core is the product. It's not the money. The money is great, but the product is unbelievable. And I stand by that. And there's some people who came up with this, and I think it's important to mention that they say there's something in there, I think sorbitol or whatever, and some people are, it's a no-go zone for them because that's bad or whatever. But people need to understand that when you do research on a byproduct like sorbitol, it's that you isolate the product in itself and you test it in big quantities. But in the combination that we see as it is right now, there's zero effect of that. We tested it side by side, it on its own and the product. The product, you don't even notice there's anything in there that's negative or has any side effect. And for that, I vouch for it. As we say in Dutch, I would put my hands in the fire for this product because as a doctor with 40, I mean, with 44 years of experience, this is the best product I've seen ever. And that's my closing argument.
Amazing. Again, thank you so much, Roy. I can't wait to see you in the real world and have you on some of our trainings. Thank you again.
Thank you, buddy. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.